Welcome to another Florida State Semicast. Fall camp is in full swing. Yesterday completed day 2 of the practices, and I was going to give just a little summary of the first 2 days of practice, how they went. Day 1, Sean McGuire took first team reps. The offensive line went from left to right. Rod Johnson, Kareem R., Alec Eberle, Wilson Bell, and Brock Rubel. All right, Brock Rubel. Let's not panic, folks. Let's not panic. Let's not just totally flip out. Let's not get nuts. You want to get nuts? Brock Rubel, he's not going to start. This particular practice was the first one. You're going to see line changes nearly every day for the first couple weeks, so they find the combination they like and see what different players have. Wilson Bell's probably another guy that he may start, but I had him locked in as starting, but that could change too. But that's what you saw for the offensive line from left to right. Brock Rubel being the most like, what the fuck? But no need to worry. Players that were out, James is still getting healthy. He's going to be good to go. They're just giving him another extra like 5 to 7 days. He'll be in practice next week, I'm sure. Also, before I continue, all this information I'm getting is from the sites I frequent. Again, I'm an informed fan. I don't want to take credit for any kind of journalism or any kind of actual work. It's simply me visiting all the FSU websites, Tomahawk Nation, War Chant, Knowles 24/7, Twitter, any kind of Knowles official Twitter that I can get my hands on. This is where this information comes from. Anyways, other players that were sidelined. Janarius Robinson wasn't sidelined, but he had his ankle wrapped. Other than that, there's really not a ton of guys out, quite honestly, or at least players of note that you should really concern yourselves with for the first day of practice. Ricky Aguayo and Logan Tyler did the field goal kicking. There's only short clips I saw, but they both look like they have strong legs. Surprise, surprise. They were highly rated kickers, so you expect them to have that. And when Ricky has his helmet on, it's just uncanny how much he looks like his brother Roberto. Probably the greatest college kicker of all time. Other than that, there were some clips I saw with McGuire and Francois throwing to what looked like just a bunch of support staff, like young guys helping out, almost like interns. So there's not really you can really glean from that. Except I like watching Francois throw, man. That's a quick release, and that ball comes out spinning. McGuire he was doing the same thing essentially, throwing it directly to where Francois was throwing it, but it just looks different. And I don't know, just like Francois' quick release, and it's just that ball is just a pretty little spiral. Other than that was about all for day 1 of practice. Day 2 was yesterday, and of course there was a change, like there's going to be each day early on in this fall camp, and that is Francois took first team reps to start the practice. They're both going to have first team reps, but day 1 was McGuire going first. Yesterday on day 2, it was Francois running the first team offense. Again, nothing really to get too excited or down about, depending on your perspective. They're going to alternate a lot, I'm sure. There was a change in the first team offensive line from left to right. This time it was Rod Johnson, Kareem R., Alec Eberle, Cole Minshew at right guard, and Rick Leonard at right tackle. Minshew last year, the coaches kept raving about him. Huge beast of a guy, but he was hurt a lot. I don't know. It might have been concussions. I think that was his issue last year. He could just never get on the field. Rick Leonard at right tackle, I think he's going to be the starter. Just because he didn't start day 1 on first team meant nothing. Here in day 2, he was in the lineup, and you'll see a prior rotation in the third practice that goes down. I'm sure there'll be a new set of guys rotating. What was odd to me though was Derek Kelly, who I actually like quite a bit as the right tackle. Maybe not as a starter. We'll see what Rick Leonard does, but I believe if I read it correctly, he was with the third team offensive line. And speaking of the third team offensive line, Bud Elliott from Tomahawk Nation tweeted the third team offensive line went something like this. Excuse me. 4-star, 3-star, 4-star, 4-star, 4-star. As the third team offensive line, 4 4-stars and a 3-star. Some other notable things at practice, you're starting to get more pictures, and you really like to see the young guys and what they're looking like. A couple notables, Bevion Johnson, who is likely the future center at some point in his career, is just a mammoth human being. He's got to be at least 330. He looks like he's ready to play now, but I'm sure they'll season him and like sculpt his body a little bit. Brian Burns, he looked like he put on some weight. He's still really skinny, but his arms looked like slightly bigger than I remember from the high school highlights that I watched. Taylor is small, but he looks well put together. He could put on another 10 pounds of muscle, I'm sure, by next year. But he looked like a player. He looked like a player. Carlos Becker is tall and kind of lanky. Not tiny, but you can see why they liked him as a corner because of his length. And Jimbo, he loves the tall corners. Some other guys, Razul's kind of short. That's the running back. The offensive linemen, all the freshman offensive linemen, they kind of look like you can tell they're just out of high school. They're big, but it's kind of like a soft big. You know what I mean? Like some of them look like, okay, they need some time in the weight room. Even though they're 300, they need some time in the weight room with Vic, the athletic trainer. Other than that, yeah, not a whole lot. It was only day 2 of practice. Day 3, I bet you McGuire will go back to taking the first team reps initially, and I'm curious to see what the offensive line rotation will look like. And once again, I'm just be crossing my fingers that there are no big injuries. I mean, there's camps around the country where you've already seen some injuries. LSU, in particular, they've had some guys go down on defense. This morning, I saw that a Florida Gator cornerback, a freshman, albeit 3-star, he's out for the season. I mean, this is the time of year where you should start seeing those things on your Bleacher Report apps or on the bottom line where so-and-so lost for the year. So that's why you're like crossing your fingers each day of practice. Like, just don't lose anybody ridiculous, you know. And for FSU, it's don't lose anybody in the linebacking unit, please. Or the defensive end unit. Those are some of the thinner units. So just cross your fingers on that. And it's great just seeing football players for FSU actually doing football things. You know, you're not just seeing them in interviews in street clothes anymore. You know, they're in pads. You know, you're seeing clips of Francois throw and Cook run, although it's just this ridiculous ass drill where he's just running against air. Or a Guayo kick, like it's just cool seeing. I mean, every year I watch the clips and look at the pictures, but it just gets you excited. And I think the countdown is 24 days now, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's 24. Yes, or 25, one of the two, something like that. We're getting closer. This Sunday should be interesting because the media will have access to practice, and they usually don't. This is pretty much about their only time. They get like free reign. So a lot more content will be out. So curious to see how that practice goes. I might wait till after that Sunday practice to get on here and kind of sum up what I've read online and stuff. Anyways, let me wrap it up. Um, Looking forward to the next practice and see what kind of news comes out of there. You like to see how players are progressing. You like to see which players put on weight, lost weight, look bigger, so on and so forth. Well, this has been another Florida State Semicast. Thanks for listening and feel free to subscribe.